Good morning. Lovely to see you. Actually, not so many familiar faces this morning. Some, but not all new. And Sue coming in. Wow, wow. Welcome, special welcome. My name's Pauline. So I'm a teacher here at Kadampa Meditation Centre, Liverpool, teaching in Formby and here and for quite a long time. So I hope you'll find something useful and really enjoy. You know, it's. The course is called Be Kind to Yourself, isn't it? So we've already been kind to yourself. To actually choose to do this on a day like this as well, so many things that you could have done. But this, just coming here for the morning can be so powerful for you and so transformative if you've not been before as well. And also even just sitting in this beautiful meditation room, you can feel the peace from this, can you? Can you feel it's peaceful? It's so many people have meditated in this room, over decades now. So it's a very special room, and we're surrounded by Buddhas as well. The Buddhas are here. Wherever there's a Buddha statue, a Buddha is present, as well. So they actually are here with us. So we have those Buddha's blessings too. And so this morning we're looking at kindness and maybe unkindness as well, just to see what the difference is, what we can do for ourselves. And many, a few ways to do it, a few ways that Buddha taught for us. But I want us to have simple ways really this morning, nothing too complicated, because it's hot. And also we've got a lot already on our minds, so really just to help our minds is the important thing. So when we think about being kind, you can think, what does that mean? If we're kind, we're caring, aren't we? We want the best. So if we're kind for someone else and for ourselves, we want the best for ourselves. So kindness is a loving mind. Yeah, so that's the mind that we're looking for. Unkind is really a destructive mind, isn't it? Unkind. It would be destructive and crushing if we think about unkind. And we're thinking about ourselves, so we can be kind and we can be unkind to ourselves too. So we'll look at the differences. Now, so it's not about the duvet today. Sometimes we think, I need some time for myself. I'll bring the duvet down and lie on the sofa. And that's being kind to myself. We do all various ways. If things are getting us down, we think that we can look after ourselves a bit more. We do things like that. Maybe have a massage. You'll have the things that you do, maybe do sport or you go to the gym, something like that, and you think, well, that's going to make me feel better. Some people go on this like a real bender, don't they? Or they, they think, I'm going to really push the boat out because I need some time to myself. The world's been treating me badly, and I'm going to do what I want now. And really go and crash. So, bottomless brunch, have you heard of? Have you been on one? Apparently that's a good way to look after yourself, but it doesn't sound so much to me really. But all these things, there's many things that we can do, but they don't bring us a permanent feeling of happiness, really, do they? Especially that bottomless brunch. I should think you need a few days to get over it after that too. Or even just lying on the sofa after a while, it just gets tiring. Just to massage these things, they temporarily give us some relief, but they don't give us this permanent happiness that we long for. So unkind, we can be unkind to ourselves too, and not in ways that we might think that, it might not be apparent at first. But the world is so busy, isn't it? We're very busy, and there's never any time. So in that way, you know, we don't have time to do anything. We feel like we're being pulled in. Do you ever feel like being pulled in many different directions as well, and just no time for ourselves? And time's funny like that, isn't it? Because you know, when you're at work, you think, well, when I retire, you know, I'm going to have loads of time. Or when I give up work, I'm going to have loads of time. So even if you only worked 20 hours a week, you'd have, which would be nice, wouldn't it? But even if it was only a short, you know, hours, not like 40 hours a week or 60 hours a week, some people work, don't they? Then when you gave up work, you'd have 20 hours a week free, wouldn't you? That's what it would seem like. But it never kind of works out like that, does it? Everything fills the time that we have. So people who are retired say, I don't know how I had time to go to work because I'm so busy, can't find time to meet them. So what we're forgetting is, we're forgetting our spiritual life. We're so busy, and that's unkind to ourselves, really. We're forgetting our spiritual life and where happiness comes from. Because happiness doesn't come from external things. It can for a while. It can give us some relief. But it can't give us permanent, true, lasting happiness. That comes from within. So when we're unkind to ourselves, we forget. We forget that that's where we need to go. We need to go inside ourselves to have some time. It doesn't even have to be a lot of time, and you can actually sometimes use that time while you're doing something else, you know, while you're doing mundane things as well. But we need to acknowledge that we have an inner life as well as an outer life. The outer life will just go on and on and on. You know, like that, you retire, you think you're going to have more time, you know, you have something, you stop, you think you're going to... It just continues, it continues. Worldly things. There was a Buddhist, an ancient Buddhist meditator who said, you know, worldly things are like an old man's beard. You know, he can shave it off in the morning and it'll be there. In the evening, it'll be back there in the morning again. And it's the same with all the jobs and things that we do, isn't it? They're always going to be there. So that's where we need to stop. We need to stop. And so the first kindness to ourselves is meditation, really, to think about some of our spiritual life. Hiya. That's lovely to see you. Welcome. Yeah. So, so connecting with our inner life is a very wise thing that you've done this morning, to come and think. And the first thing is some meditation. So meditation takes us inside, and we start to think about our inner life, and that's where we build our inner strength from there. And from there, it doesn't matter. No, it doesn't actually matter what happens externally. It will all stop. I was hearing about they like monks, you know, like maybe a kind of monks who live, not Buddhist monks, I think they're Christian monks. And they live in a community, like a monastery, and they have work to do. They have gardening work, and I think they got creative work. And so they work every day, but they also have their prayers and their spiritual practice. And what they do is they ring a bell, and then when the bell rings, that's the time to go and for your spiritual practice. So when they hear the bell, they just stop wherever they are, you know, stop whatever they're doing, and they go and do their spiritual practice. So I know you probably, if you work on the till at Tesco's, you're not going to be able to do that. But we can still acknowledge every day that some time in our day belongs to our inner life. So we begin with our meditation, and we begin simply with a meditation, and we'll do a simple breathing meditation to start with this morning. Some of you not meditated before. Anyone completely new to meditation? Yes? Yeah. Well, this is a nice breathing meditation, which is easy to do. When we begin to meditate, sometimes because our mind is also out there and busy, it's a bit of a shock to stop. You know that feeling, oh, I've got nothing to do. So don't be concerned about that if you feel like that. Just relax. Just sitting, doing nothing is actually a very rare thing to do nowadays, isn't it? With no stimulus at all. So if you feel like, you know, the meditation part is difficult, just have a nice sit down, because that's very important as well, and it creates a lot of positive energy for you. Lovely. So we're going to do a breathing meditation. What we're going to do first is listen to a prayer. It's called the Liberating Prayer, and it's about Buddha. And about all the qualities of Buddha and our connection with Buddha as well. So it's a traditional prayer. You can just listen and relax while it's on, and those who know it often join in, whatever you want to do with it. And then after that, I'll guide you through a short meditation. Okay? Thanks.
Blessed One, Shakyamuni Buddha, precious treasury of compassion, bestower of supreme inner peace, you who love all beings without exception, are the source of happiness and goodness, and you guide us to the liberating path. Your body is a wish-fulfilling jewel. Your speech is supreme purifying nectar, and your mind is refuge for all living beings. With folded hands I turn to you, supreme unchanging friend. I request from the depths of my heart, please give me the light of your wisdom to dispel the darkness of my mind, and to heal my mental continuum. Please nourish me with your goodness, that I in turn may nourish all beings with an unceasing banquet of delight. Through your compassionate intention, your blessings and virtuous deeds, and my strong wish to rely upon you, may all suffering quickly cease, and all happiness and joy be fulfilled, and may holy Dhamma flourish forevermore.
So we can just settle into a nice meditation position. And that's simply just, the main thing is to have a straight back. If you're straight but relaxed. And then you can relax your hands into your lap. And traditionally we put the right hand into the left and the thumbs are touching. But let your hands be relaxed and your body. Just check your neck. If you need to move, feeling any tension in your body, let go as much as you can. But the purpose of meditation is to make the mind calm and peaceful. And if our mind is peaceful, we'll be happy, whatever happens. So the basis of all happiness is meditation. So with our eyes lightly closed or a little bit open, you can leave them open if you want. And just let yourself relax in your seat. Maybe check in with yourself. Let yourself land in this meditation space and just think about just what is uppermost in your mind. What has your mind been involved with? Any problems or excitements? Well, just imagine that you let go. Just let it all go. It just turns into light and disappears. And we can say to ourselves, ask yourself a question: would I like to have a peaceful mind? And just listen to your own answer. And we just continue relaxing into this meditation space. So we can even sink down a little bit from our head. Head's very busy. Imagine that you're sinking down towards your heart. And then maybe we can think about all the obstacles we've had to coming here this morning. Any difficulties we've overcome. Until finally we've found ourselves here in this beautiful space. Just being kind to ourselves. So we can be happy. Just smiling inside. And then, as we said, starting to engage with your breathing without changing it, just a natural breath. just for the next few minutes, just trying to keep our attention on the breath. And the mind will wander away. Its natural movement at the moment is to wander, so it will naturally wander away. But when it does, if you notice, just come back to the breath. And just see if we can do that for a few minutes. Just check now and then with a little part of your mind. Where's your mind now? And if it's wandered away, just stop. Just gently stop without forcing. And then just come back to the breath. Just start again really patiently. Just enjoy the process. Just like a child at play. And after a while, if we continue like this, there starts to be some spaciousness within the mind, some space between the thoughts. The space is peaceful and calm. This is our true nature. We can say, this is my true nature, this is me. And just for the last minute of the meditation, just rest in a peaceful mind. And so now, without losing any of the peace and benefits from the meditation, we can finish. Just acknowledge our meditation, just that we've tried as well. And then let your mind rise up when you're ready. Thank you. So when we're looking at kindness to ourselves, we're looking at Buddha's methods. Quite a few this morning is Buddha's methods. But if you've not been here before, I just want to say, that we're not in the business of making Buddhists here. If you want to be, everyone has choice. But what we are in the business of is peace, inner peace. So anyone who hears any of Buddha's teachings and they like them, they can have another faith or maybe not sure about their faith. But if they like what they hear and they've put it into practice and it works, then that's the important thing, is to hear those things. There are many, many practical things that we can do to change the way we feel, to reduce our stress, and to finally help us to enjoy our life. So one of these practices I'm going to explain about now is a Buddhist practice, which is very simple and very easy to do. And you can actually do it under the duvet, so you could actually just have a day on the duvet and do this practice. Stay in bed if you wanted and do that. You're quite keen on that. It's called rejoicing. And what we do is rejoice in the good qualities, rejoice in good qualities of we'll begin with the good qualities of others, to think about what they're doing. So if somebody is maybe going on a meditation retreat and there's no way you can do that because you've got 2 jobs and a lot of family responsibilities, often what we do is we get jealous about it, don't we? We think, chance would be a fine thing if I could do that. But instead, if we rejoice, we actually don't have to go, and we get a lot of the positive energy or the merit from the person who's going on the retreat as well. So rejoicing is being happy. Saying it is a word we don't use very much, isn't it? Rejoice, really. So probably it's not a very appropriate one to use in daily life. But we can say, I'm happy for you. So it's just being happy. But if we're happy for somebody else, it means we're not jealous, we're not resentful as well. Our mind has only got space for one thought at a time. It seems like we've got a lot. I'll go into that a bit later. It seems like we've got a lot, but minute by minute, moment by moment, we've only got room for one. So if we're happy for someone, we are happy. Our mind is happy, and it doesn't have any room then for any negative minds. So what I'm thinking about this morning, though, is because we're thinking about kindness, is that we can also rejoice in our own good qualities. So anything that we do, we can be happy about that. So that's another method. We don't actually have to be anywhere or do anything. You could do it while you're waiting for a train, waiting in a shop. It doesn't have to be in a meditation space that you're doing it. It doesn't take up any extra time. And we think about what we've done that was good, that was beneficial. So, and they can be quite simple things, I bet you've done a few this morning already. Did you feed your dog? Did you feed your cat? Did you put some water out for the birds? Maybe you did. Maybe you did. Maybe you made someone a cup of tea. Did you do that? Has anyone not done any of those things this morning? Did you let someone pass when you were walking in the street? Did you make room for somebody? Did you help someone when they came into the meditation room? Did you help someone in your family? So those things we're doing constantly. We are good people, aren't we? Yes. We are good people. And we're constantly doing good things. And if we look at those things that we're doing, we can see, that those are our good qualities, and those are what we can be happy about. Now, what happens with me, I would say, maybe you're the same, is that when someone says that to me, I go, oh yeah, but I didn't really want to do it. Right? Yeah, I did make a cup of tea, but I slammed it down. I've had, I've had that experience recently a lot with the caring. I've had a caring responsibility, and which has been quite large. It's not just making a cup of tea, is it? It's quite large, and people say, "Oh, you've done really well." They say that. A lot of people are so kind. They say, you're doing really well. And I go, I know, but, you know, I get a bit narky, you know, and I get a bit, and we kind of negate, don't we? We negate all those good things that we've got. But all those good qualities that we've got are creating happiness. Those are pure qualities, those that we have. And if we look at those instead, because we say, oh, no, you know, I don't. We have this inner voice, don't we, like an inner critic that's always saying, well, yeah, you did do that, but, you know, you could have done it better, you know, or you really didn't want to do it. Or so that voice is, you know, constantly negating, you know, that kind of, so it's like the unkind voice, isn't it? We're talking about the kind voice and the unkind voice. And the unkind voice is taking away, you know, all that good. We often say, you know, I won't be able to do this, maybe even meditation, I won't be able to train my mind, oh, I'm not going to because I've tried before, or I'm useless. You know, we have these voices, don't we, that say, you know, the inner voice often says, no, you're no use, it won't be you, does it? You know, I want to train my mind. But maybe some of those people at the Buddhist Center, some of those in their robes, maybe they'll be able to train their mind, but not me, you know, I'm not good. I'm not good at that. And then we do know that we've got negative minds as well, too. I mean, we all have positive and negative minds. So we kind of notice those negative minds. We think, I'm angry. You know, I'm not a good person because I'm angry. And we say, no, you're an angry person. So we really need to think about the mind. What we're talking about here with our meditation is our mind, and think, you know, are we really an angry person? Are we really a useless person? Are you really a person who's not going to, you know, not going to be like my parents used to say, never going to amount to much. It's an old-fashioned saying, isn't it, as well? It's never going to, you know, is never going to do good. And what we often do is we relate to that. You know, we relate to that. So we need to understand a little bit about our mind, just a small amount of the definition of the mind. This is what Buddha said that the mind was. So, I mean, we often think that the mind is a physical thing. People talk about the brain, don't they? They say, my brain's saying this, my brain's telling me that. Yeah. But a brain is like, is made of meaty stuff, isn't it, really? If you, I don't think you'd want to do this, but if you had an autopsy or whatever, we'd be able to see a brain. But we wouldn't be able to see a mind, would we? We wouldn't be able to see a thought. We wouldn't be able to see a feeling. What we would see in a brain is just flesh, isn't it? So the brain is physical. The mind is not physical. And that's what Buddha taught us. Buddha gave clear and detailed explanations about the mind, which is fantastic because you don't hear about it much. Did you learn about your mind at school? No. Probably not. We don't know very much about the mind, even, you know, after a long life. And sometimes what we know about the mind is a little bit muddled, I'd say. So Buddha gave clear and detailed explanations about the mind as follows. The mind is something whose nature is empty like space, which has never possessed form, shape, or colour, and whose function is to perceive and understand objects. So that's the mind, right? It's empty like space. Imagine that. So that's our mind. So sometimes we say like a blue sky. If you imagine space and a blue sky. There's no end to the sky, is there? Where does it finish? You know, where does it begin? Where does it end? Same with the mind. The mind, often the idea of the sky is a really good analogy, you know, for the mind. Empty like space. It has never possessed form. So it's not solid, you know, you can't see it. You know. Shape or colour, and whose function is to perceive and understand objects. So really we're looking at the function as well, isn't we? So it is this empty space like a blue sky, and functioning it perceives and understands objects, right? So it's not saying it's angry, is it? It's not saying it's angry, it's not saying it's useless, it's not saying, but it is functioning to perceive and understand objects. So objects in this context is not always just a microphone or a table or a book. That's what we generally think of as an object. But in training the mind, we think of anything that the mind connects with is an object. So if we're angry, anger is the object in the mind. So it's anything that's in the mind. So the mind perceives a book, or the mind perceives that it's angry as well. And anger, any anger, unhappiness, sadness, depression, they're feelings. They're feelings. They're not physical things. Yeah. So happiness and suffering, they're not external things. They're not what you've got to prove, you know. What you've got and what you want and how you want to organise your life externally, what your job is, where you live, who you live with. Those are external things. Feelings are within the mind. You know. So happiness is a feeling, it's not a thing. You know. So if you've got a car, you know, a new car, whoa, that seems like happy, you know, really happy, doesn't it? But a car is just a car. You know, if you bought a new car and your partner thought you couldn't afford the car, they don't have a happy feeling about that car, do they? So the car itself is neutral, really. But the feeling, happiness and suffering, are states of mind. So it's within the mind that we change. You know, that we change where we feel. So feelings are coming in and out of our mind. So when we're feeling like we're useless, or we're no good, or we've messed up, or not perfect, because we're always like trying to be perfect, I guess, when we think that we're not. No, these are just transitory thoughts. Yeah, they're not solid. You know, we connect onto these, don't we? If we feel resentful about something, we latch onto that. We often latch onto it for years and years. We latch onto it, and yet it doesn't really exist. It's just something that's within the mind, which is passing through the mind, a bit like a cloud going through the sky. Is that feeling, that thought? Thoughts are all transitory. So they can all be changed. So however we feel, however low we feel, you know, that those things can be changed. And then the good that we do, the positive qualities that we got, are all important qualities that will cause us to be enlightened and will cause us to be happy. We could be happy forever if we connect with those positive qualities. So in those negative qualities, if we're feeling resentful, they just play and play. They just play all the time, don't they? Sometimes you think, I don't even want to think this again. You know, but it comes, doesn't it? Anxious feelings that come. So what we're doing here is we're going to focus on the positive qualities of love and compassion, you know, generosity and kindness, and we focus on those qualities, and they're the ones that we want to focus on, connect on. They're the ones that we want to play, and then if we gradually let go of those negative feelings, then those feelings will go, because they're just transitory within the mind. So any of those positive qualities that we've got, that you've all got, you've all told me that you've got, I thought you all said that you've all got very positive qualities. Those are the ones that we need to nurture. if we're going to be kind with ourselves. And what happens is we disregard those positive qualities. Now, a Buddha has only positive qualities because they've developed their mind to such an extent that they don't have any negative qualities. They don't have any delusions, as we call it. So their mind is completely pure. And so we have that potential within us as well. We all have that potential. Everyone has that potential within us. And it's called Buddha nature. So we all have Buddha nature. Everybody does. Even the darkest heart has some Buddha nature, and it can be developed. Many examples in Buddha's teachings of people who've there's someone who's a serial killer, and he actually became enlightened as well. Yeah. But I was thinking, actually talking serial killer, I was thinking on the way here, as you do, thinking about serial killers. And I thought about Fred West because, Fred West did some monstrous deeds, and he was a serial killer. And I read a book that was written by his daughter, and it was a lot about the situation. But there was a part that struck me was that what she couldn't get her head around was that obviously he was labelled as a monster, but sometimes he was kind. Yeah? Sometimes he'd say, look after, make your mother a cup of tea, that kind of thing. In the family, as a child, she experienced kindness from this man too. So with no excuse, for what's happened, but it really struck me that there's nobody that doesn't have Buddha nature, right? It's within us, and it's totally indestructible. And our potential is that we will become. So when we hear about Buddha, a Buddha as once been wandering about in the darkness like us, but has developed their mind to such an extent. So we need to value our Buddha nature, know our Buddha nature, and know Buddha nature for others, because everyone has it. So sometimes if someone's giving you a hard time, you can remember they have Buddha nature as well. So if Buddha walked in here now, what would you do? What would you do? Yes. You would rush to him. I like that. You would want to touch him, wouldn't you? You would wow, what would you do? I think I'd just, do you know what? I don't know what to do if I saw Paul McCartney, so I don't know what I'd do if I saw Buddha. I often think, what would I do if I saw Paul McCartney? Would I be able to speak to him? I was like, if it was Buddha, I think I'd just fall on the floor on my face. I would just be, whoa, that would be, wouldn't it? So beautiful. And the thing is, he would say, get up, because he loves us. He loves every living being as well. So he would be, so imagine that. That is the same as what's inside of us. That Buddha is in, it's in its potential at the moment. It's not developed, but that's inside you, all of us. We have that inside of us. You wouldn't negate it. You wouldn't say, nah, that's a load of rubbish, would you? That Buddha nature, anything you do, just sending a nice text to your friend or saying a kind word to somebody or something, that Buddha nature is an expression of the divine within everyone. Yeah. So we all have that within us. So that's our kindness, is to recognize, to recognize that. So we've all done lots of kindnesses, but there's one particular kindness that we've, an amazing kindness that we've done for ourselves. We created a human life. We did that. So we did that through previous, from previous thoughts, before, because I said the mind is eternal. The mind has no beginning. The mind has no end. The mind is temporarily in this body. It will go on to another body, and it's been in countless bodies before, creating causes. Every action, every thought, every action that we perform is creating a seed within that mind, and that seed goes on to create an experience, a condition. And so to have a human life is a very, very rare condition. Yeah. It's very, we might have been eons, lifetimes wandering about. And this life that we have now, that we've created, is like our spiritual guide, Geshe Kelsang Gyatso Rinpoche's pictures there, his statues there. He said this life we've got now is like being in, like a luxury holiday resort compared to any other existences, because consciousness is within every living being. So our consciousness could be within any living being. But we've created the causes for human life. We've done that through spiritual practice, stainless prayer, and actually behaving ourselves, moral discipline, good discipline as well. So we've already, some time in a previous life, we've got others to be thankful for that. They've created that within our mental continuum. And we've got that. So there's a beautiful story about the preciousness of our human life in this book, Modern Buddhism. Yeah. These two books I've used for this morning, they're like entry-level books, so they'd be perfect. We've got them in the shop, but you can also download these books and get them on your phone for free as well. So if you wanted to do that, you can have a look at the cards in the break. So as I said, the human life and the causes for a human body are rare and precious. And so there's a story about Buddha, and he asked his followers one day, he said, how rare, I might get the right page. So right now we have an opportunity, because we have a human life, to train our mind to ultimate happiness, which is called enlightenment. And then one day, Buddha asked his disciples, how rare did you think that it's not? How rare is a human life? So what do you think yourself? I've told you already, haven't I, really? But it's very rare. Human life is, they answered, is very rare. He said, yes, it's very rare. And this is an analogy used to explain it. He said, suppose there existed a vast and deep ocean the size of the world. Are you with this? Can you imagine that? A vast and deep ocean, the size of the world. Right, that's a bit mind-blowing as well, isn't it? Yeah. And on its surface there floated a golden yolk. I used to think that was like the yolk of an egg, but it's not. I didn't know round a cattle in those days, because it's like 2,500 years ago or more. The circle that goes round cattle or animals anyway. But it's circular, so it goes, and on the surface of this vast ocean is a golden yolk. And at the bottom of the ocean, there lived a blind turtle who surfaced only once every 100,000 years. Right? So a blind turtle's at the bottom of this massive ocean. And he surfaces every 100,000 years. So this is what Buddha asked. How often would that turtle raise its head through the middle of the yolk? Do you know? How often? I think they said, not very often. And he said, correct. That's right. Not very often. Yeah. His disciple Ananda answers that indeed it will be extremely rare. Extremely rare. And this is the opportunity that we have, that we've created. And we have, that before us, in lives before us, we've created this opportunity. So he says here as well that the deep ocean refers to samsara, that is suffering, a world of suffering. Constantly surrounded by suffering, aren't we? Everybody around us is suffering. All our friends are suffering. We're suffering ourselves. And that is the ocean. The size of the ocean is about suffering. If we're not suffering, suffering comes. It's good if we're not suffering at the moment. But nobody in this world of suffering, samsara, is free from suffering. So it will come. And that's what the deep ocean refers to. Yeah. A circle of impure life that we've experienced since beginningless time, continually in life after life, without end. And the golden yoke refers to Buddha Dharma, Buddha's teachings. Right, so these are the teachings about the mind, and that's the golden yoke that's on the surface. And the blind turtle is, who's the blind turtle? Who is it? Is it your next door neighbour? Is it Buddha? But the blind turtle's us. We're the blind turtle. We're submerged in the ocean. And the reason that we're blind is the blindness is our wisdom eyes are closed. So we have no understanding. We're looking for happiness where there is none. We're following minds that don't exist. We don't understand the way things are. So at the moment, our wisdom eyes are blind. Although we're not blind, our wisdom eyes are blind. We don't see the way things really are. So even when we briefly reach the upper realm of samsara's ocean as a human being, it's extremely rare to meet the golden yoke. So people often come to be, so we can say that, when we say that a human life is rare, you can say, well, there's actually billions of people. It's not that rare, is it? But it's very rare to be a person who actually meets teachings on training the mind as well. It's very rare to be a person who's interested. So you have that too, that you're even interested. Many people today won't be interested. It's just not the time. They haven't created that. They haven't created that wish yet, anyway. Everybody will eventually, but at the moment they haven't created that wish. But if you've created that wish, you've heard Buddha's teachings. Our heads have got in the golden yoke. We've got the golden yoke. It's very rare. And then he also says that his teachings are also here. Kadam Buddhism is very clear teachings as well, and very practical teachings. So they're even better, than meeting teachings that maybe we wouldn't understand. So very, very fortunate, very fortunate. And if we remember how fortunate we are that we have that experience, I thought it would be nice to do a meditation on... You've not been here before, so I'm not sure. Let me think. you know what I'd like to do? I would like to imagine being the turtle. What do you think? We'd say, would you like to imagine that analogy? You look like you'd like to do that. We'll imagine the analogy, and I'll read it out again. And then we can imagine the turtle, and then we can say, I am that turtle. Yeah. And then we raise our head. Imagine that. The head goes through the yolk. Wow. As well. It's so fantastic that we've done that. What's that?
180 darts.
Yes, I like that. 180, I like that. Yeah, that's good, isn't it? So happy, so joyful. You know, that joy is that we have that opportunity. Now, if we had that realization, it's called a realization. A realization in meditation is when it doesn't go away from you, so you never forget. Because at the moment we can say, wow, we've got this human life. But sometimes when you wake up in the morning, you know, it's not quite there yet, is it? So we haven't got a realization where every moment we remember that. But imagine every moment we realize how fortunate we are to have a human life. Also, they don't last very long, you know, either do they? So that's another thing, that's another reason why it's precious too. So if we had that realization all the time, nothing else would matter, to be honest. You know, if you lost your job, someone said, I'm sorry, we're going to let you go. We'd say, wow, I've got a human life. You know, your house is burned down. I know, but I've got a human life. My partner's left me, you know. I know, but I've got a human life. And actually, even sometimes when people die, I know this is a bit morbid to say, but there's a very strong feeling that we get that we have got, you know, when you hear that someone's died, especially someone who's, you know, sort of the same, often the same generation as yourself or whatever, it becomes clearer, doesn't it, that life, there is an end to life. One of the feelings that comes is, I'm alive. True, isn't it, as well? You know, so there's a very strong feeling of your own life when you see someone else's life go. It's gone. Once it's gone, as you said, it's very difficult to find and very difficult to get back unless we've trained our mind. Once we later on after the break, I'll explain. But once we've trained our mind, we'll get it back as well. You know, we learn how to do that. You know, and how to escape too. So let's meditate on there. Let's go down to the ocean. Relax, relax. Check your posture, maybe a straight back. Don't rush, just take your time, get yourself comfortable. Let go of thoughts. And just settle into your meditation space. So let's imagine the ocean. A vast and deep ocean, the size of this world. And on its surface, there floated a golden yolk. And at the bottom of the ocean, there lived a blind turtle who surfaced only once in every 100,000 years. The vast and deep ocean refers to the world of suffering that we've experienced since beginningless time. continually in life after life without end. The golden yoke refers to Buddha Dharma, Buddha's teaching. And the blind turtle refers to us. We can say, I am that turtle. Imagine that you are the turtle swimming around in the ocean. You've been swimming around for countless centuries, eons, countless, unimaginable, and mostly suffering, never finding any respite. Then one day, you rise to the surface. A human life, so rare and difficult to find. And what's this round my neck? A spiritual path, a beautiful spiritual path, one we can follow, one we can understand. Just such joy, never to have to suffer again. So we can think, I've briefly reached the human world. It doesn't last forever. We've also found that by training my mind, I can finally step out of this ocean forever. So we can think to be kind to ourselves. We can spend some time of our human life, a little bit every day, on our spiritual life, our spiritual development, developing those good qualities that we have already: kindness, generosity, compassion, love. You know, these are the minds we want to follow. So we maybe hold that determination, happy and determined. And just keep this determination for the rest of the meditation, just for the last few minutes. If you lose the feeling from the meditation, just go back to the contemplation. You contemplate anything that touched your heart until you come back to that determination to make the most of your human life and to follow your spiritual path. Or just for the last minute of your meditation, if you find that you've been distracted, just come back again, just for a minute. Just see if you could just try to keep a mind of joy. Just for a minute. Okay, thank you. Just relaxing your concentration. And then just let your mind rise up. Lovely. Are you ready for some coffee and biscuits? We're having a break now anyway, and we're back at 12 o'clock. Thank you. See you later.
Sue,
Yes?
just check the milk's out. It's in
Yes.
the fridge.
I will.
And there's some soya as well. I think it's soya. Right? There you go. Stephen, isn't it?
Here it is. Hi.
Sudana.
Sudana, sorry. There we go. Good time.
It's you. Yeah, that's you. That's Nancy.
So, try to, but also the old medication or practice your,
Have you? Oh, yeah, sure. There's some water in that. Sure. I'll get you some fresh out. Come through to the gap and get some fresh.
coming down heavier now, love.
Oh, is it come on now? The rain? You hear it now?
Clear all year. Clear the air. I just need some veggie juice. I put some recipes yesterday.
Oh no, I always, I got some from there and there.
I found all those packages from Ford and yours when I come to yours. Yeah. Different ones.
No, what one?
Oh no, but you came up shop.
To cut off shop,
Sorry,
sorry.
I apologise.
That's just the day we like, we do shop. Or it's, or what I like to call top shop.
We haven't been shop. Okay, what do you think it's sale on Monday?
That's ticket sale, it's just
The old circle.
ticket sale is now information up for you. The registration info is not even, okay. You need to register then. Do that.
So you can't go because you just got to register?
No, I've registered at my level. I've registered people who've been successful.
Where you had all the others? Because I'm with the we had to go out last year. That's nice, that's good seeing everyone again, wasn't it?
I see we have to shop on them.
But they're going to be night games, aren't they? Some of them.
In Bay 12, we want to go
No, not up to, from Bay 12. Higher, the higher the better. Bay 12 is the lowest.
Are they come free?
Since it was the original yards,
Are you okay for a drink? Give it to you.
it was 300 quid. I changed it to but you can't put
You've been watching big screen then, you ain't actually raising the brunch.
or we wouldn't be because that's snatches.
Have you brushed your short?
A little bit, not a lot more.
You're going to get us to put a full set on this time, or you're going to
Yeah, I'll get to the way. It'll take a while to get used to it.
see my still on? No, but what are you getting used to not looking? So, then
Get like Dave,
your dress is lovely. Oh, thank you. Really cool. Yeah, it is actually. Nice, love the colours. Isn't it nice being able to wear all this other stuff?
Oh, it's a mix
The
of
shady
shades.
stuff, isn't it?
Yeah.
Lovely in the fall. I don't like wearing in the Aussie wardrobe when it comes out.
I was going to say, it very rarely does it? Yeah, yeah.
It's not lovely.
I'll put this to be
yesterday. And with, you know, Sunday night, what's that sound? Anything else?
And all the pages were like covered out and literally
It was just all the signs.
Yeah.
And characteristics of it. Just get themselves back now. I think I really are like that, but I think they put fortunes to
Yes. It says it's modulate, so I'm not declared it just
I'm not being funny. Don't stand on your mat. Oh yeah, don't stand on your mat. I'm like, I've got a problem with that. Take your shoes off, no problem.
Yeah, if you watch out for more yeah, and just make sure she's wide open. Any problems, let me know. Water. Class. Monitor. Oh, got some. What have you done it? What have you done now? So, if I may, a quick publicity stunt. Well, not stunt, but you've got this one next week. Yeah. I've got that all in your chest. If you pick up the tiny wee leaflet, which is July courses, anyone got one?
I have got that.
You got one in your bag yet?
No, it's
So
not.
this one,
Thank
we've
you.
got 3 courses in July. How can we stress with Pauline? Eddie is going to do finding stillness through meditation, and then we've got finding self-confidence, that's self. Great. The best way to be if you're going to teach on it, because you have to find out how to do it. So those 3 in July, if you look at the pricing, it's very, it's trying to get you guys to commit yourselves to a good deal, very good deal, get all 3 for 30 quid. So please be aware of that. It's on the website now. If you scan that QR code or go on our website, you can look. Okay? And that's it. Any questions of Pauline, she'll give you a chance at the end to ask. Please do. It's lovely to ask questions because if you're thinking of it, if you've got a doubt or a wish to know something, then somebody else will have the same thought or wish to know, and you're being kind by asking them a question. So, and then it starts with people asking questions. And then finally, check your phones, make sure they're off, and enjoy. And hope to see you again soon.
I need to do one of them. Yes. There's someone missing.
Who's missing? Well, he'll come back, they'll ring the bell.
Yeah, yeah. Still a minute.
Eh?
Still a minute.
He's carting the tail. Annoying.
No, we've got 2 extra ones. We've got Matt and then Sue. Yeah. We'll walk by one.
Oh yeah, I see. Right. So how did you enjoy your break? You okay? So are you very warm? Or you're all right? Good. Yeah. So we're thinking about the mind and a lot really. I mean, this is the main thing with the meditation, isn't it? And the spaciousness within the mind. And so the mind is like an empty space. The thoughts are just passing through, right? It sounds like quite calm in there, doesn't it, when you think of it like that? But how many thoughts do you think we have every day? How many have you had up to now? It's only 12 o'clock. It's constantly, the mind's constantly, isn't it, as well, engaging in a thought too. So every moment of mind is creating. So they're important, aren't they? So how many we've got, and then how they're changing. I was yesterday in London on the Underground, and it was very, very, very busy. Incredible. I was like country mouse, but yeah. But I thought then when I was on the tube, how many thoughts, if you could see them, you know, if you could see them. Well, if they were like on post-it notes, there'd just be, place would be covered, wouldn't it, as well, covered and covered and covered. So millions of thoughts. So what we're looking for is the positive thoughts, isn't it, the beneficial thoughts, and not the negative thoughts. So some are positive thoughts, some are negative thoughts, some are just neutral thoughts, aren't they? They might just be, oh, I'm going to sit down, or, you know, I need to get a drink of water, you know, something like that. It's not positive or negative. So there's three kinds really. So the ones that we want are the positive thoughts, and to try and leave, you know, the negative thoughts. And when we think of them like that, they're not fixed, are they? When we think of them like just like clouds in the sky, if we don't give the thought energy, and if you don't think a thought, it can't be thought. Does that? That sounds like something for the fridge, doesn't it? So if we're aware of our thought and we notice them, so if we have a negative thought, we can keep on to it, as I was saying, for years, can't we? But how long do you think we should keep a negative thought? That's right, because you can't hang on to. In fact, the more you hang on to them, the bigger they get, don't they? Yeah. Thoughts, they grow, they become more solid. We could become more entrenched in them as well. So you recognise a negative thought because it creates unpleasant feelings. That's how you recognise it. So anything that makes you feel that's a negative thought of anger or resentment, just sadness and happiness, depression, you know, worry, those kind of minds. So as you say, if we could learn to, it's just like drop it, don't give it energy. It's a practice in itself, isn't it? What can we, that's something we can do, and then generate our positive minds through our meditations, through our reading, and through our contemplation as well. So what we need to do is just be aware. that's all really. It's a mindfulness practice, isn't it? To notice what's happening in the mind. And if you do that, you're actually you're becoming a spiritual person. You're becoming an inner being, what they call in Buddhism, because you're watching those thoughts. And then because you're aware of them, and in your meditation, they seem to just come from nowhere, don't they, and just stay. But with our meditation, we can just let them go. With practice, it takes practice as well. It doesn't. But if we did it day after day, or just take a patch of your time and think, I'm going to watch my mind. Watching the mind is quite interesting. See what comes up. And if it's negative, I'm not going to think about it. The way sometimes somebody wants to gossip with you, they say, what do you think of such and such a person? And you go, oh, I don't know. Don't you? You do. I'm not going there. That kind of thing. We can say to ourselves, no, I'm not going there now. And it really works, with practice, what we're doing, because they're not physical. The thoughts aren't physical. They're not fixed. Thoughts can be changed. So we can actually be whoever we want to be. It's not fixed. Even who we are, our personality, all those are thoughts, aren't they? They're thoughts in our mind. And we can change that. So if we want to be someone more that we look up to, or a spiritual guide, or a spiritual teacher, then what we can do is think, I'm going to be like them. We can think, I'm not going to be like this. I'm going to be like them, and it's possible just to change, because they're all thoughts. They're thoughts of who we are, and they hold us back, don't they? They hold us back. That's the thing, and so they're holding us back from our spiritual path too. Whereas if we think, I can be like Buddha. I can become enlightened. Or even someone a little bit further ahead of you on the spiritual path. I used to look at people who came to the Buddha Center and see that they didn't worry about things so much, and I think I want to be like that, and that inspires, inspires us to do that. So if we think we're not, we're not the limited person, that we feel that we are. We're far from limited, and believe in that person. We believe in our good qualities. And we can even change a little bit. Try changing a little bit. When you get your coffee and they ask you what your name is, I sometimes do that. Give a different one. Just think, I think I'll be Angela, But obviously don't say Buddha or anything, or don't do anything strange. In your mind you might think, I'm going to be Buddha. That's a private practice, isn't it? But just that thought of changing your identity, is because an identity is not fixed, is it? We're not the sadhu that, sometimes we believe we are. We're not. We're, I'd say, expressions of the divine. That's what we are. So it's not always straightforward to do that, to just let go of a negative mind. They're very strong, aren't they? They are strong. So when I'm saying that, I know it's not just a matter of brushing it off. And a lot of them are very entrenched. So we do need help on our spiritual path. It's not something that we can do on our own. We need a place. When we think about being kind to ourselves, we're thinking about we need to be safe. We need a place of safety, because life is hard. Suffering comes, and we're always needing help. If something goes wrong at home, or we have a burglary or something, we get the police, wouldn't we? If we're sick, we get medical help. If we need to talk to someone, sometimes we get counselling, don't we? And talk to someone to help us, see us through a difficulty. So we are always looking in a general sense, aren't we? We're looking for help. All these methods of help will be good to a certain extent. You know, we need support from the outside world. It's important to realise, isn't it, that we're talking about our spiritual development, but we don't do that at the expense of our external life. We need a balance between the two. That's the thing. If it's too much meditation and not much in the real world, you know, then we'll be like a bit of a space cadet, won't we? But if we, the same, if we don't look at our inner world, and we're also, you know, cutting ourselves off from our potential, and we're cutting ourselves off from our happiness, actually. So we need the two. So we need to, when we're looking for help, sometimes the police can't help us. Sometimes doctors can't help us, can they? They can't always help us. You know, we turn to them to help. Counsellors, sometimes they make a big difference. You know, they make a big difference in the world. But they can't give us, they can't help us from suffering. You know, as we were saying about the turtle. The turtle is living in a world of suffering. And although they want to help us, they can't take that away, can they? With the medical things, they will make us comfortable and give us medicine if it's possible, but they can't take away, you know, the suffering that we experience in this life. If we're not suffering now, then that's great. It's good we feel we're not and that we're in a good patch. But the thing is, suffering always comes. You know, there's no escaping from suffering. The sufferings of birth, aging, sickness, and death, you know, are part of the fabric of our life. But we're often cut off from those two. So we need a really good, reliable source of support in order to help us. And so we need to turn to someone who is really going to help us, who knows how to get us out of that suffering. So we can use any spiritual teacher for this if you have another religion, but because we're Buddhists here, we say Buddha. So we say Buddha is here to help, and we go for refuge, as we go for refuge to Buddha. And Buddha will bless our minds so that our mind becomes peaceful. So that sounds a bit, well, I don't know that they're there, you know, we think they're not. But if we think about it a little bit more deeply, when we think about Buddha, we think Buddha was an ordinary person like us. Right? Many, many people have trained their minds over eons, you know, many, many people have trained their minds with this spiritual path. And they've all been ordinary people just like us. You know, they've all been suffering, they've all had negative minds. And the reason that they are enlightened now is that the Buddha has, is because of their compassion, because they developed their compassion to such an extent that they wanted to become enlightened. They wanted to improve their mind so that they could, Buddhas can, they transcend, you know, ordinary physical barriers, and they can help others. They can bless their minds. And while they were ordinary people, they wanted to help people so much. They developed their compassion to such an extent that they thought that the only thing I can do is become enlightened so that I can help others. You know, Buddha has the capacity to bless every living being every day, because they don't have these physical boundaries. They have a different body and mind to us. It's been developed. So, but we all have that potential to do that. So, but when you think about it, so they've done that. So Buddha's done that. They did it because they wanted to help everybody. There's countless of them. So what are they doing? What are they doing? They were actually blessing everybody because that's what they wanted to do. So they are doing that. Buddha's blessings are constantly raining down on us. There is no place where a Buddha is not, and they're always wanting to help living beings. Right? So, I mean, that was the whole, that was they'd say, that was the whole point of them becoming enlightened, was so they could help us and help us to be enlightened. So it's just like actually waiting for us to ask, because you do have to ask. That's the only thing you have to do. You need to turn a little bit. You need to turn towards them, and do that. So that protection, that's what we need when we're looking for refuge. Means protection, doesn't it? We need protection from suffering, and they are waiting there to give us that protection. What protection from suffering is inner peace. Peace in our mind. You know, once we've got a peaceful and happy mind, we are protected. We're protected from suffering, because suffering is a state of mind, isn't it? So once they can give us inner peace, so they're constantly blessing us, But we have to, they can't give us enlightenment. They can't give us the peace that we want, like a present. They can't just say, oh, here you are, do that. You know, we just need to turn to them. You don't need to turn to them a lot. You don't need to do much, but you just need to move your mind a little bit towards that idea that Buddha is constantly blessing us. You know, every moment of the day, Buddhas are there within everything, within, as I said, within us, and they're also within everything. So they're always there. All we need to do is ask, and that is refuge. And Buddhists call that Buddhist refuge, that they turn towards them. So it sounds a bit surprising at first, but I think it's something you've got to try. You know, I'm sure some of you've tried it. You know, if you just turn, you know, you just turn your mind towards a Buddha, they will help you immediately. I think everybody knows that when you really reach rock bottom, and many people have told me this experience is, they feel that there's someone there. You know, they feel that there's someone there to help them, because their minds are so open, because they're so desperate and so unhappy, that their mind is open then. So we do need an open mind, don't we, all the time? Because we are always thinking, oh, I can sort this out for myself. You know, we think we can sort everything out. We don't need any help. I mean, we have a strong sense of independence, don't we? No, I do. You know, when people say, can I lift your case and can you do this? I'm a bit like, no, I can do it. You know, I'm not too old and decrepit yet, you know. And my inner pride, deluded pride, is like, instead of, you know, accepting that, we're a bit like, oh no, I can do it. I don't need that. I don't need you, don't we, with others? And we look at that a bit in our meditation at the end, but that we do need help. And so we need to be honest, don't we, with ourselves. Actually, I'm drowning here. You know, we'd say, I'm drowning here. I do need help. You know, we're very, very proud, aren't we? But, you know, when sickness comes, you know, we lose that too, don't we? We lose our independence, you know, then we have to turn to others, you know, others do help us. So there's no, it's a strength, isn't it? It's a strength to be able to turn to Buddha. Geshe Kelsang, when he was teaching, once he was teaching about Tara, Buddha Tara. She's a beautiful female Buddha who's very accessible. I think she's over here somewhere. Yeah, she said, you always recognise her because she has one leg extended, you know, not always, but in that such a thing, she has one leg extended because she's ready to come. She comes on the wind. She comes to you on the wind immediately. No, and so some will be more accessible than others. With our karma, some will be more connected with us, to us than others. Tara is very, very accessible to us at the moment, and the Buddhas that we mention a lot, we use their names. We're accessible, but there's Buddhas. You know, the whole room is full. You know, they don't take up any space. And they do. But when Geshe Kelsang was teaching about Tara, he gave an empowerment on Tara. He said when we have, when we're worried, we've got a problem, sometimes it's like maybe an addiction and, or your willpower or you're losing. When you're losing it, in fact, you could just turn to Tara, he said. So he said what we do is, so he did a little play apparently. He imagined Tara was here next to him and he was like looking this way and he was upset, I've got a problem, I've got no one to help me. And then he turned to Tara and just turned to Tara, and Tara, he was demonstrating that Tara would help. So, all the time it's something we can do, asking for blessings, just asking when we need help, is rather than just feeling lost and alone, is to remember that they're all there, constantly blessing us. And all we need to do is do that turning. You don't really need to physically turn, but what we're doing is our mind is turning. Do you see the difference? Just turning our mind. And in How to Transform Your Life, there's a little piece about blessings. Even when the sun is shining, if our house is shuttered, only a little light can enter and our house will remain cold and dark. But if we open the shutters, the warm rays of the sun will come pouring in. Similarly, even though the sun of Buddha's blessings is always shining, if our mind is shuttered by our lack of faith, few blessings can enter and our mind will remain cold and dark. But by developing strong faith, our mind will open and the full sun of Buddha's blessings will come pouring in. So faith, this sentence says, faith is the life force of spiritual practice. So we need to have unshakable faith in Buddha's teachings, otherwise we will never apply effort to putting these teachings into practice. And now this faith isn't like a blind faith. It's not a faith that you're being told you must have faith. Faith is something that you build. You build it, but it's a very, very positive mind. It's a real superpower to have faith. You probably experienced yourself with other people, if they've got faith in anything, maybe sometimes it's not a faith in a holy being, it's just a faith in a person. They have strong faith in the person. That faith gives them strength. It gives them strength, doesn't it? But so faith is something we get when we've tried something out. Just like when you buy something, when you get it and it was good, you go, oh yeah, I'd go back there. Don't you? And you get that strong feeling about it. And that's what that's what a Buddhist faith is. Buddhist faith is try it and see. And that's what Buddha said. He said, always try. Don't take my word for it just because I'm called Buddha. Try it out for yourself and see what it is. The way like the cowboys, you check the gold. That probably you're all too young to remember the cowboy films, but they always, if you gave them a gold coin, the cowboy would bite it, and somehow he knew it was gold from biting it. So we need to bite it ourselves, see what it's like as well. So we could just bathe in those, but this is such a beautiful meditation. I just want us to do a little short meditation on it and see what you think. What I'd like to do is just, we've got a teacher in New York, I like the saying, he says, hang out with the Buddhas. He says, just hang out with the Buddhas. So it's not like a difficult meditation at all. All you're doing is hanging out. Just like you're hanging out with people that you care about. Maybe you're with your friends, they're all, you're very relaxed with people you've known for a long time. You're just hanging out. And the thing is, Buddha loves you. Whatever you loves all living beings without exception. So you're definitely not left out. So you're just like, beautiful. Okay, let's do that just for a little while. Let's just relax into your meditation. So this is a beautiful place to start with this, but Buddhas are everywhere. You know, they have no physicality. Their mind and their body are the same entity. They're in everything. If you think of them, they're there. So in this room, countless Buddhas. Their minds are peace and love and wisdom. And this is what rains down on living beings all the time. So we can just relax in our meditation space. Even thinking that the people close to you that you feel comfortable with, they're with you too. And just chilling. And the Buddhas are there too. You know. If you know some more, you can imagine them there sitting with you. These Buddhas and holy beings constantly blessing your mind. So imagine that we turn to them. If we want to be honest, we can say, I'm really suffering, Buddha. Please help me. If you're not suffering now, suffering will come. Everyone must face the suffering. We just ask for help. Help me. Keep me in your loving care. We open our mind and the full sun of Buddha's blessings will come pouring in. Just pouring in from the crown of our head, right down to the soles of our feet, filling our body, filling our mind so that there's no room for any unhappy feelings. Just peace and contentment. We just relax, enjoy. If you feel that your mind's wandered, just go back to the contemplation. Just remember that you're hanging out with Buddhas, with holy beings who only want the best for you. Reach out to them and let their blessings and all their positive energy pour into you. And just fill your mind. Just for the last couple of minutes, just if your mind's wandered away, remember you're keeping a happy mind. It's blessed. And just relax. Feel happy. And then just concluding your meditation, just stay in it for a moment. Just be aware of the Buddhas around you if you've experienced any blessings or peace. Remember, this is where you can come back. If you felt some peace and happiness, more contentedness, keep that in your heart so that you'll remember it later. It'll benefit you and everyone that you come into contact with. And just let your mind rise up when you're ready. So that just turning for blessings is ultimate refuge. That is refuge that will help us, continually help us. So that is a Buddhist commitment, is to turn to Buddha for blessings. And also to turn to Buddha's teaching, Dharma. So Buddha's blessings will give us protection. And Dharma, as Buddha's teaching, actually means, the word Buddha, Dharma means protection. It's mind protection. So if we think about Buddha's teaching, when we need protection, when we're suffering or when we're unhappy, if we turn our mind to Buddha's teachings and use Buddha's teachings, that will give us protection. And then also, there's three elements to the refuge: Buddha, Dharma, and Sangha, which is the spiritual friends. So anyone who practices Buddhism themselves, if we've got problems, if we turn to them, they will help us to get Buddha's blessings and to use Dharma, which is what we're doing. So they give us a direction. It's almost like reins, isn't it, on a horse? We're giving our mind direction in the way that we go. And our teacher, Geshe Kelsang Gyatso Rinpoche, says that if we're not seeking blessings and going for refuge, we're not actually Buddhists. So we're not in Buddhism, we're out of Buddhism if we're not doing that. So we have that commitment to make effort, always apply effort in order to receive those blessings, but in a very, very positive energy and a very positive framework in which to live our daily, ordinary life as well. So just personally, it's helped me a long time, you know, with everything, and never failed as well. So the more you do that, then the more you turn, don't you? The stronger your view becomes as well. Yeah, so let me tell you a little bit, just moving on a little bit to training our mind. This is a Dharma teaching, one of Buddha's teachings. But I have to tell you a little bit about myself. I don't come out in a very good light in this story, but it was a long time ago. It was my birthday, and I thought, okay, it's my birthday. My birthday was it my rules, and I'm going to have everything I want on this day, the way I want to have it. So I was working, so I took the day off work, so I've got the whole day to myself. I thought, I will, everything I do, I'm going to look after myself. And I thought, the first thing I'm going to do is I'm not going to eat anything except chocolate for the whole morning. So I like chocolate. So I had chocolate for breakfast. I put myself on massage and went and had a massage. It was nice. Met a friend. Had some lunch. That wasn't chocolate then. I stopped eating. I stopped eating that. And all the day I did this. It's my birthday cake, you know, all that. But where's my cake? I'd made a big announcement it was going to be my birthday. Receiving gifts. Bring them in. I've got all these gifts. So, and actually, you know, by the end of the day, I felt a bit hollow. You know, it was supposed to be the day that I wanted, and it was. Nothing went wrong in that respect. It was my birthday. It wasn't like, you know, sometimes we say, "Oh, fancy this happening on my birthday." It wasn't like that. They were all things that you might think were like treats. But you know, like all that treating of myself made me feel a bit, I don't know, just didn't really do what I thought. It's hollow, isn't it? If we just look after ourselves and don't bother, then it is hollow. It is hollow, isn't it? If we're just looking at our own little world and making sure everything's okay and not moving out. So Buddha would have said to me at the beginning, if only I'd turned to Buddha at the beginning of the day, he would have said, there's no way to make you happy, Pauline. All the happiness in the world, and the Buddhist poet Shantideva says, all the happiness in the world comes from wanting others to be happy. And all the unhappiness in the world comes from wishing ourselves to be happy. Yeah. So it was actually proved on that day, really, to say that as well as looking after ourselves and being kind to ourselves, the way to be kind, the actual way to be kind to ourselves is to be kind to others. Yeah. So that we've got that balance, because we create our world with our mind. Yeah. Our mind is the creator of all our experiences. You know, if we have an angry mind, then we experience an angry world. I'm sure you know people like that sometimes. if you're a very frustrated person, everything frustrates you, doesn't it? You're like, oh, now this, now this, now this. You know, everything does. Those who have a loving mind, you know, they have real happiness. You know, when we look at others, when we help others, how do you feel? You've got someone you know who needs a hand, and they really need a hand, and you're the one who can help them. How do you feel? You feel fabulous, don't you? Or if you give them a present, you give someone a present and they love it, you know, and you spend a lot of time and they love it. How do you feel? You just feel fabulous, don't you? Giving the present is much better than getting a present, isn't it? And it also flows out, so the positive mind flows out to others. You know, we're giving to others, and it makes them happy. They're happy, you're happy, win-win. And as well as that, everyone that they meet is becoming more happy. So actually flowing out from that when we open our minds and move out to other people. So although we feel that we're separate from others, we're actually very, very connected to others. And then we can think about connecting to others in a good way. And we can just begin by opening our mind towards them and loving them a bit more, having a bit more of a warm feeling towards others. We can check how we feel about others at the moment. You know, do we feel that we have a warm feeling towards others? Do you feel that you do? Yes, you do. Great. Well, if you do, that's good. How many, do you think? How many? Do you have a warm feeling to others when you're in a traffic jam? Do you have a warm feeling when you see the roadworks to the council? Do we have a warm feeling when someone gets in our way? You know, so we do. We have those feelings. That's right. That's our Buddha nature. That's great to have that as well. So we have that. But you know, instead of feeling that we're an isolated person, we can move those. We can grow that feeling of our connectedness to others. As you say, our potential is to be like Buddha. Buddha loves everybody. Buddha's raining down on everyone. He doesn't say, excuse me, could you tell me who you voted for, or anything like that, does he? Or and he doesn't say, oh, just a minute, or oh, this person deserves it more than you, or anything like that. It's just constantly doing that. We've got that potential to do that. But at the moment, we're limited a little. We are limited, aren't we? If we think about the people that we have a warm feeling towards, could you count them on one hand? Maybe two? I don't know. Sometimes if you like a group of people, like if you like all your people who like your football team or something like that, I suppose it's more expansive, isn't it, as well? So it might be more. But that's right, our connectedness with others. So as we connect with others, they connect with us too. And if we think about their kindness, we start to get a warm feeling towards them. Because rather than being an isolated person, we actually need others more than we would admit. We'd be an absolute mess without others, wouldn't we? Yeah. Or sometimes we like to think, oh, we're in our own disaster movie, don't we? And how would I survive? You know, with these survival things, how would we survive? I'm a bit old-fashioned. I look at like desert island discs and whatever and see they all go to a desert island as well, don't they? But the reality of that is if we were on a desert island, we wouldn't. How long would we last? You know, we wouldn't. I mean, it wouldn't take long, would we? First of all, we need that interaction with others. It's an essential thing for a human being, isn't it, to have an interaction with others? Remember that from lockdown? We all started going slightly mad, didn't we? And a lot of it was without that connection with others too. So we need that. But we also need them to help us. We can't do everything ourselves. You know, if there's a few of us together, we can achieve a lot. You know, we'd be lost. And the minute that we were sick or had a toothache or something like that, we would be done, wouldn't we? So when we come into this life, you know, we often feel like an independent person, but actually like someone who landed. Imagine you just got put on a plane and you got landed in a country where you didn't know any of the customs, you didn't know where anything was, you couldn't speak the language, you couldn't read the writing, you know, that kind of thing. And then somebody come along and said, okay, come on, come this way, I'll show you where you can get your shopping, and I'll show you what to do, where to live, and how to do what you're going to be, and how to flush the toilet. I think you can't do that in Japan, can you? So, you know, all those things that we need to do. But if that person came in at that point and told us all those things, you wouldn't care who they were, would you? You wouldn't care what they did or who they were. You just would love them. You'd be so grateful, wouldn't you? They would be so kind. And if anyone's been very kind to us like that, if anyone has helped us when we've really needed it, you know, when we've needed it the most, we never forget them. You know, someone else can say, or they could do something, you know, they could do something maybe a bit negative, or someone else would say, but we say, do you know what? When I needed them, they helped me. And that's a very strong feeling, isn't it, as well, with others. So if we open our thoughts to the way others are helping us constantly, you know, we wouldn't be anything without them. They would without us as well. You know, we're important in that part too. But our connectedness, and we remember the kindness of others, then we have that affection. And when we have affection for others, they love us back. Usually, yeah, they do. If you've got a genuine, if you accept someone as they are and love them, which is love, isn't it, unconditionally, if you love them, they love you too. And we have a lot of that now. We already have that within our Buddha nature. When you hear about it when someone dies, don't you, in a funeral? You know, people come up, they say, they helped me, they did this, I lived next door to them 30 years ago, you know, I've never forgotten them. Do you know, that kind of thing? If you've been kind, you know, you've been kind to them. I worked with them, they really helped me. You know, they showed me where stuff was when I didn't know. And all this comes out often after the person's gone, unfortunately, doesn't it? And they don't really know that. But I think that's the same with us. I think we don't realise how big an effect we have on others. You know, we're very powerful. You know, our minds are very powerful. And just a small thing, you know, just that attitude of kindness towards others, it can be huge. You know, it makes a huge impact on the world. And you're changing the world, aren't you? Changing that person's world. So everything that we say is very important, but if you're a kind person, then it's always going to be okay. I don't know if anyone's ever said that to you. People often say, I always remember you said. Have you ever heard this say, I always remember you said, and you go, oh no, what is it? And someone did that to me once, and she said, both, I was a manager, but she'd experienced a bereavement, and it was Christmas. So she said everyone was celebrating, and she was, you know, so, you know, grieving. And she said, I mentioned it to her. That was all she said. She said, do you remember that? She remembered I said, it'll be hard for you this Christmas, you know. And sort of helped, because I was her manager, so helped her to do something else, perhaps. But that came back to me like 30 years later as well. So I'm not, you know, I'm no saint. But I did that thing, you know, I'm sure you all did that thing too. So we have that connectedness. So this final meditation that we're going to do is about our connectedness to others. This is it's another visualization about how connected we are with others. He says, there's some explanation. You can read more if you get this book, you know, and some of it I've mentioned as well. But he says, We need others for our physical, emotional, and spiritual well-being. Without others, we are nothing. Our sense that we are an island, an independent, self-sufficient individual, bears no relation to reality. It is closer to the truth to picture ourselves as a cell in the vast body of life, distinct yet intimately bound up with all living beings. That we cannot exist without others, and they in turn are affected by everything we do. The idea that it's possible to secure our own welfare while neglecting that of others, or even at the expense of others, is completely unrealistic. So that's really our final thought. We'll do a meditation, but we'll finish on the meditation. So, really just to wind up, is that we've thought of quite a few ways now of showing kindness to ourselves. It's how to be kind to ourselves, haven't we? We're thinking about our meditation. We're thinking about our inner life. We're thinking. What did we do? Sorry. But, it's really that about meditation, about inner peace, spending some time with inner peace, looking at refuge where we can turn when we've got problems. And we're looking at our connectedness with others as well, turning to them. We're looking at our life, weren't we? How precious our life is and how fleeting and how valuable it is. And valuable in the way that it can take us out of a world of suffering. It can create that human life is the best possible in this world of suffering to get out of suffering as well. So the idea that our life is precious and important, again, and then our connectedness. So there's been a few ideas, I hope, that they've helped you. And I just wondered, first of all, if we've got a little bit of time if you wanted to ask any questions, if you had any thoughts. I'll be outside anyway when we've finished if you want to ask me something. Yeah? Are you happy? Have you been kind to yourself this morning? Good. Well, let's do this meditation. It's a visualization again. I'll read that out. That paragraph's beautiful, isn't it? About being a vast. So we're all a little cell in the body of life. Okay. So let's just relax. Make yourself comfortable. You can imagine yourself in the most beautiful place, surrounded by those who are close to you. They're all comfortable, they're all meditating, those you love. Your pets, any animals that you love, bring them into your meditation. And we can be aware that beyond these people who are close to us, people that we don't know so well, maybe your neighbours or your work colleagues, or people you see every day, just acknowledging them. And beyond that, we don't need to imagine as a reality. It is that there's countless living beings, billions, in Liverpool, across the country, across the continent, right across the world. Billions of people. They all want to be happy. They all want to be free from suffering. There's something that we all have in common. And we can think, without others, we are nothing. Without all these, we need others for our physical, emotional, and spiritual well-being. Or sense that we're an island, an independent, self-sufficient individual, but has no relation to reality. We can see that we're surrounded by others. It's closer to the truth to picture ourselves as a cell in the vast body of life, distinct yet intimately bound up with all living beings. We cannot exist without others, and they in turn are affected by everything we do. The idea that it's possible to secure our own welfare while neglecting that of others, or even at the expense of others, is completely unrealistic. So we can just imagine that we are just that cell in a vast body of life. We're distinct and separate, and yet connected. Connected to those that we're close to, and those that we're close to are connected to others, and those others are connected to others, right across the world. If we have a feeling of warmth and closeness, a feeling of love to others, it will flow out towards them, and it will flow out from them to those that they're connected with. And it will flow back to us because there's that connection. So we give love and we experience love. We give peace, we experience peace. We give kindness, and that kindness comes back to us. So we can imagine a feeling of love and kindness within our heart, and we send it out to others. And we experience it back. We send it out. Constant flow. And so when we imagine this, we experience a warm feeling towards others, a feeling of loving kindness. And this is the object of the meditation. So if you feel that, just hold that. in your mind, in your heart. Just hold it for the rest of the meditation. If you find you're losing your concentration, remember that the Buddhas are there, delighted about your meditation. Just turn, ask for help. Please help me with this meditation. Please help me to develop love, to develop peace. So throughout this morning we've generated a lot of positive energy by meditating, contemplating, discussing. So keep that in your heart. Don't let it drift away. Just hold it in your heart. Dedicate it to yourself, to your own happiness. And then also to the happiness of others. And when you're ready, just relaxing your concentration. Thank you. Lovely. Thank you so much, and I hope you've enjoyed the morning. I know a lot of you have not been here before, so we've got lots of classes at different times of the day. So have a look at the programme and see if there's something else. If I've whetted your appetite, maybe come back and hear a bit more. Okay, thank you.